Hello everyone, welcome back to our Mirage.ts GraphQL course. In this video we're going to create basic application UI. Let's start. First thing we need to do, we need to bring styling solution to our application. In this video we're going to use Tailwind CSS. So let's go back to our editor and we need to do some installation steps. We need to fire next command which will say npmi-d Tailwind CSS post CSS auto prefixer, and right after that we need another command which is npx Tailwind CSS init-p. So the first command will install everything we need. The second command will generate all the configs Tailwind CSS need. So let's do that. Hit enter. npm said okay, everything is installed. Now we need to go to Tailwind config and we need to specify where to take our content. All the classes from index.html or from src folder, any ts or tsx files. And basically that's it. As you can see, there is also post CSS config, as we said, with two plugins in it, Tailwind CSS and auto prefixer. Now we need to go to our index.css file. We don't need all those styles anymore, so we remove them. And we need to import Tailwind CSS layers to our application. Let's do that. Also, we can go to application CSS and we don't need that file, so let's remove it. Yes, it's used, we know about that, we delete it and we delete that import because we don't need it anymore. All the styles will be coming from Tailwind CSS. Also, we don't need that markup anymore. We will say for now, just to test if everything is working, div do app, and we will test one of the Tailwind classes, class name text to Excel. Now we can restart our application. Let's go back to the browser and we see that to-do app is there. And as you see, text size changed and we have Tailwind class applied, which means Tailwind is working. We can continue to create our application UI. Let's convert our div to application wrapper and it will be flex container, flex, and it will justify all the items in the center. So we say justify center, and also we put everything vertically in center. So we say items center, and we need to say that the minimum height of our application will be at least screen. So we say min height, not 0, but screen. If we go back to the browser, to do app text should be in the middle of the screen and it's there. Now let's add header to our application. So we say h1 Mirage to do, and we say class name text for Excel, and also maybe let's make it bold. We say font bold, header is there in the center. Now we need to add a small form where we will be creating our to-dos form, and inside of this form we will need one input, type text, placeholder, in placeholder we will say type to do text here. Also we will need a button to add to do button, add inside, and we need to say that it's type submit, because if we won't do that, it won't work. Type submit. So this button will be submitting our form, and let's check what we have in our UI. As you can see, we have content next to each other, but it should be in a column view. So let's do that. Let's wrap our application. Everything will be centered and then it will go as we expected. Columns. Here we can type, we can click, all good. Submitting the form. Let's say we will add some border and some paddings inside. Let's do the same for our input, last name, border, and we need to add some indent on the left side. So we will say not just border, but also indent, let's say 1. And also let's add some space between button and input. So for now, let's say MR2. Which will do the job, and that's okay. So, and let's say that our form should have a space on the top, like empty 10. So we have our form which will create to do, we have a button and we have a header. It's time to actually bring to dos from the mock server. We have 10 to dos there, so we can already display them. To do that, let's bring a list, L and Lee, let's say wash car, and we will need checkbox to see if to do is completed or not. Let's say that text.checkbox, For now, we don't say if it's checked or not checked. Should be here. Checkbox should be after the text. So we say class name, flex, justify between. Let's go back to the browser, what I want. The entire list needs some spacing. Y10 we have to do, and now because it's a template for to do, we can replace this template with actual to do generation. So we say instead of X, we can say is loading data or error, and we need to say if is loading, return for now the if loading. Also, we need to cover error case. If there is an error, we say something went wrong. Instead of this, we can say data.todos.map, and map is not really available because data might be undefined. So we need to add additional check if there is no data. We also say something went wrong because it's not loading anymore. There is no error and there is no data. So we say if there is no data, and then we don't need to do this check here. So we say to do item. We need to add key because it's list element. So we say maybe instead of to do item, let's use the structuring, and we will say ID and content. So we say key ID, and here we can put content. And we also need to know if it's completed or not completed. We need to go to our schema for a second, and we need to update our model saying completed boolean, and it should be true or false. We need to rerun our generator. npm run code gen generate to regenerate schema and types and everything. Also, we need to go to our mock server, and here TypeScript is already complaining. We need to say when we create basic models, they should be completed or not completed. And so for even elements, it will be true, or non-even, it will be false. And then we can restart our application. Let's go to the browser for a second, and we have our 10 to-dos. TypeScript still didn't to-dos. We need to update query, and we need to put completed here. I already did that. For now, let's ignore this error. There's something wrong with my editor, so I will check that later, not to bother you a lot. So we can go to our terminal and regenerate all the schema. Schema is regenerated, so we can go to our generated files and see if everything is updated. We see ID, content, and completed, which is boolean. Okay, so its schema is updated. We can go back, and here completed should be available for us. Yes, it's available. And we say default checked equals completed, because we want to give user possibility to mark to do item completed or not completed. Let's go back to our browser, and we can see that some of our mock to-dos completed or not completed. For now, let's go back to our editor and let's do small refactoring. Here in our file, we can move our to-do list into a separate component. Here, when to-do query is loading data for us, we show loading for everything, but we can always show Mirage to-do header because it doesn't need to be hidden under those ifs. So let's do that. Const to-do list, which brings us JS6 element. This is function which should return this list for us. List, and then we will use it here. And then we take this query because it's only needed for to-do list. Now we can save it, and we can clear things a little bit, so we don't need this counter anymore. Also, let's go with the same syntax for everything, which is function expression, not classical function declaration. So we say const app, which is function declaration, and here, since we return only one thing, we don't need return statement. We can return things directly. Now we can move to the list as a separate component. Directory to-do list tsx, and we need to move everything there. And also we need to export, and then we need to import our to-do list here. Let's remove redundant things, and maybe let's add also type declaration here. And basically we're ready for the next lesson. I know I promised that we will write tests in this lesson, but timing of this lesson becomes pretty big already. Let's separate things. In this lesson we learned how to create basic UI for our application. Everything is as it was before. In the next lesson we will write a couple tests for our application to demonstrate how it's convenient to use Mirage together with GraphQL inside tests. Later, after that video, I will create few more additional videos to finish this checkbox functionality and to finish form functionality. Why I want to do it after? Because after the next lesson, you will know everything you need to know about Mirage, GraphQL and testing. But if you want additional examples, you can stay with those few extra videos. But if you need to grasp basics and jump to your own project, you will be ready to do it after the next video. So if you want additional examples, feel free to check them. I'll see you there.